These video images have never been seen publicly until now. The RCMP takedown of the man who killed 22 people over a 13-hour rampage in several Nova Scotia communities. The Mass Casualty Commission originally decided not to release the videos, fearing they might do more harm than good if they were misused on the internet. The Commission reversed its decision after a challenge by media, in part because no parties objected to their release. The videos show the killer pulling into the Irving Big Stop gas station in Enfield, driving a car he stole from his final victim, Gina Goulet. A member of an RCMP emergency response team noticed him staring straight ahead, recognizing the killer from photos shared earlier that morning. The Mountie and his partner opened fire, shooting multiple times without hesitation, ending the man's life. Evidence released earlier at the public inquiry showed at almost the same time, the gunman shot himself in the head.
New photos have emerged of the Texas police officers at the Uvalde mass school shooting, completely armed to the teeth and ready to go. They got their assault rifles, they got their ballistic shields. But as we see here, ladies and gentlemen, as photos emerge of Uvalde cops stacked and ready to storm the classroom with assault rifles and ballistic shields, but they were held back by a top cop for 46 minutes while the shooter slaughtered kids and teachers on the inside. And while the bodies were not even cold yet, Justin Trudeau decided he would pounce on the opportunity to come for Canadians' guns. As you may recall, I put this one out. In the wake of the Texas school shooting that happened in another country, the Prime Minister of Canada decided that now is a good time to propose a new gun law that would ban the sale of handguns in Canada. The law is expected to pass this fall, turning law-abiding citizens into potential criminals overnight. And indeed, this was the culmination of a number of things leading up to this moment. Of course, Canadians, we had our own mass shooting situation a couple of years ago. As I reported in this one, bombshell report, transactions reveal the Nova Scotia shooter may have been an RCMP informant or an agent. The withdrawal of $475,000 in cash by a man who killed 22 Nova Scotians in April matches the method that the RCMP uses to send money to confidential informants and agents, sources say. Gabriel Wortman, who's responsible for the largest mass killing in Canadian history, withdrew the money from a Brinks depot in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia on March 30th, stashing a carry-all filled with $100 bills in the trunk of his car. About 3 weeks later, he was killed by police after carrying out the largest mass shooting in Canadian history. In this video, Dan Dix of Press for Truth breaks down the claims being made by Maclean's about the shooter's involvement with the RCMP, while showing some past examples of how the RCMP have been caught red-handed doing these things before, which suggests the very real possibility that the Nova Scotia shooting was a false flag operation designed to enforce strict gun control laws. And sure enough, folks, Nova Scotia mass shooting leads to new strict gun control laws. And in this video, I laid out exactly what you need to know, how behind the scenes the RCMP were going to be manipulating people's emotions in order to push for further gun control. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm completely vindicated, as this has just come out. RCMP Commissioner, who is accused of interfering in Nova Scotia mass shooting investigation to help the Liberals' government's gun control agenda, exactly as I predicted 2 years ago in these videos, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to take a look at Brenda Lucki. This is the RCMP Commissioner who is largely responsible for the mass sweeping gun grab that is coming down the pike for Canadians. So we're going to talk about all that and much, much more in this video, guys. But before we do, I'd ask that you quickly check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this info. You can do PayPal by clicking on that. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies by clicking here. You can join me on Subscribestar. It's a great Patreon alternative because I have been kicked off of Patreon. This is another Patreon alternative. You can sign up for a monthly reoccurring contribution there. If you're Canadian, a great way to go is to send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or if you guys like to keep things old school like I do, you can send cash or checks or equipment or simply just words of encouragement to my P.O. Box, guys. Once again, links are all located in the description below. Thank you to anybody who takes the time to support my efforts here at Press for Truth. All right, guys, so I want to talk about the The fact that the RCMP commissioner was going behind the scenes, interfering in an investigation in order to play on the emotions of Canadians so as to bring about stricter gun control, as we will see from this Globe and Mail article. But before we do, let's quickly take a look at this, guys. These new photos have emerged showing police waiting in a hallway during the Uvalde school massacre after the town's mayor defended cops who waited for an hour to confront the gunman. One photo taken from surveillance video at 12:04 on May 24th shows police huddled behind ballistic shields just feet away from the classroom where a gunman killed 19 students and 2 teachers. It would be another 46 minutes until the heavily armed police stormed into the classroom, and a total of 77 minutes elapsed between police arriving at the scene and their confrontation with the gunman. Guys, if you're not familiar with this, if you just go to my website and you do a search for the word Uvalde, you'll find my coverage on this. Like this one, police held active shooter drill at Uvalde school before doing nothing to stop the real thing. Or can we have a rational conversation about the Uvalde, Texas school shooting? This is the stuff they don't want you to see. They don't care about you. Breaking Texas shooter was an incel, and police allowed him to kill as many kids as possible. Again, I've been covering this extensively, guys, so if you want to catch up on that, again, just do a search on my website. But here are all the photos showing exactly what I had been, covering over the last couple of weeks in regards to this, showing them standing around literally doing nothing. This is the man who's responsible for all of it. He made the call. He's the top cop. As we see here in another bombshell revelation, McCraw revealed that the door to the classroom that Ramos had been hiding behind had not been locked, contradicting earlier assertions from Redondo's department that the chief had been frantically trying to track down keys for more than an hour to open the 4th grade classroom door. At the time, officials said that they did not believe that officers had tried to open the door. Yesterday, McCraw revealed that the classroom doors could not lock from the inside, and that officers did not storm the building solely out of fear of being shot themselves. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds, said McGraw. That's how long the children waited, and the teachers waited to be rescued. While they waited, McCraw went on, the on-scene commander waited for radios and rifles, and waited for shields, and waited for SWAT. Lastly, he waited for a key that was never even needed. Ladies and gentlemen, McCraw added that even if the door had been secured, officers had the means to break it open. But officers still waited an hour and 14 minutes to enter the classroom, all the while hearing gunshots and knowing that kids had been shot inside and that at least one teacher was shot and still alive, guys. As more cops amassed in the hallway with rifles and ballistic shields, no one checked the classroom doors to see if they were even actually unlocked, the San Antonio Express News reported last week. So really, as I reported, this is more and more so looking like a case of either MIHOP or LIHOP, where they clearly either made this happen on purpose or they absolutely let it happen on purpose, once again, for the purposes of pushing forth their gun control agenda. And this is exactly what I was warning about back 2 years ago when the Nova Scotia shooter came out. I warned this could be a situation of an RCMP informant or agent, and sure enough, it did lead to stricter gun control. And in this, as I said, I explained how they're going to manipulate the emotions of the masses in order to fall for this, and here we are. Complete vindication. Check this out. RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki pressed the Mounties to disclose the weapons used in the Nova Scotia mass shooting to help advance the Liberal government's gun control legislation. The public inquiry into the April 2020 killings was told. The Mass Casualty Commission released supporting documents and notes on Tuesday involving a conversation between Commissioner Lucki and RCMP officers overseeing the Nova Scotia investigation into the murder of 22 people by a lone gunman. In an April 28th conference call that took place 10 days after the worst mass shooting in Canadian history, Commissioner Lucki chastised senior commanders for withholding information about the guns used in the attack, allegedly telling them that those details could be leveraged for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's gun control agenda. Boom! There it is. Exactly what I was talking about. Looks like that indeed was the case. The revelations prompted opposition MPs to accuse the federal government of interfering in a criminal investigation for political purposes. This is absolutely huge news, guys. This should be, front page stuff. This is just unbelievable. And of course, the guy in charge at the time, Public Safety Minister Bill Blair is claiming that, he had nothing to do with this. He's very, very confident that he didn't interfere in RCMP mass shooting investigation. Of course he says that. Emergency Preparedness Minister Bill Blair says RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki never promised him and the Mounties that they would release details on guns used in the mass shooting in Nova Scotia in order to support pending federal gun legislation. A report published on Tuesday by the Inquiry investigating the tragedy includes notes from the RCMP superintendent alleging that Lucki said she had promised Blair and the Prime Minister's office that information on the guns used by the shooter would be released as it affected pending gun control legislation. Blair says no such promise was extracted or made, and that he's very, very confident there was no interference by the government in the investigation. Conservatives are demanding an emergency debate immediately followed by a deeper House of Commons committee investigation to get to the bottom of these allegations. Blair points out that at a news conference a day after the mass shooting that both he and Lucki said the investigation had to play out and that it would be inappropriate for the RCMP to release information on the guns until the investigation had verified the details. Well, guess what happened the last time they had to launch a deeper investigation to get to the bottom of allegations of Bill Blair's misconduct? And you may recall back during the G20 in 2010, mass investigation was launched into that, which led to a $16.5 million settlement that was reached in a class action lawsuit over the mass arrest during the 2010 G20 summit, where Bill Blair epically failed the Canadian people, and they were all awarded $16.5 million in this settlement. Guys, if you're not familiar with that whole situation, I did make a feature-length film about it called Into the Fire. Looks like I'm coming up on 1 million views, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It'd be cool to see a movie that I directed and produced, a documentary, hit 1 million views. So if you can make that happen, let's do that, guys. But we simply cannot trust the Canadian police, the RCMP, Bill Blair, and even the likes of the military. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I put this one out. Canadian military fake wolf fear campaign exposed, but you're not going to believe what they're doing next. Canadian military has been caught using psychological warfare to scare their own people into believing that there was an immediate threat from wolves in the area. They even went as so far as to install loudspeakers that would produce wolf sounds in order to fully sell the threat to people in where? Nova Scotia. And now, on the heels of being caught manipulating the public, the Canadian government just announced that they will soon be creating a new organization to use propaganda and other techniques to influence Canadians. In this video, Dendix of Press for Truth explains how this propaganda will work and is working, what its intended goals are, and most importantly, what you can do to stop the spread of government-sponsored misinformation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have links to all of this stuff in the description below, but here we have Brenda Lucki, the commissioner, now being investigated for misleading and jumping in on this investigation to try to reveal the guns so they could push this gun control agenda. As I said, this is something that Trudeau's already known for since he did it in the wake of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. Again, guys, if you want to see the latest information that's being released on that, don't forget to check the links in the description. And also don't forget to check the links in the description to where you can find me on pressfortruth.ca/donate. Again, if you appreciate my efforts to bring you all this information. And that's all for today, my friends. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and family who need to see it the most. And stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.